Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's safe to say I read a few books in March, so let's have a March reading wrap up and see what we finally got read. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I had a very busy March when it comes to reading, and I did say that March is one of my biggest months and that I can always seem to manage to get through quite a few books, but I even managed to surprise myself with just how many I got through this month. So let's jump straight into it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through the books in the order that I read them from the beginning of March through to the end of March. I'll just give you a brief what I thought of the book, and I'll give you my star rating. I may have changed my star rating from when I actually rated them on Goodreads, simply because sometimes I find that I finish a book and I'll give it a star rating, and then when I look back, I think actually I was maybe a bit too generous or maybe a bit too harsh on that. So I'll tell you what I think of it right now after having some time to actually process the book that I read. So the first book that I finished in March was Crossed from Emily McIntire. This is the fifth book in the Never After series. I read the first four back in February. It's a series that I've had for a while. I bought this last year and it's been sat on my shelves. But this year I'm determined to read more of my series. So I put them all onto some little slips. I put them into a little jar and I'm having them picked out by either my partner or my son. This one came out in February, but I didn't finish the series, so I finished it in March. Crossed. This one is the Hunchback of Notre Dame inspired referenced story. I hate to say it, but I did not like this one. The writing was fine. Like, I do enjoy Emily's writing. I don't know what it was about the story. I just really couldn't connect with it. I couldn't connect with the characters. I found it took me a while to get through this, even though it's not a big book. Um, yeah, not my. I think this was my worst one. Um, I think Crossed was my least favorite, followed by Scarred, followed by I would say Twisted. Then it was Wretched, and then the other two, Hexed and Hooked. It's a fight between them, but yeah, didn't like this one. Um, Writing wise, I would say this was like a 4.5. Story wise, and me enjoying this, I think this is like a 3. It was fine. I didn't DNF it. I was determined not to DNF it, but I didn't like that one. Then I went straight in with Hexed. This is the new and the last book in the Never After series. This one is a Little Mermaid one. Loved it. This one was really, really good. It's the chunkiest of them all, but don't let that put you off. I really enjoyed it. There's something about the more mafia style books that I've been really enjoying at the minute. This one was easily a 4.5, maybe a 5 star. And it's very, very much up there in the top spot with Hooked. I really enjoyed Hooked as well. So, really liked this one. I felt like it was a really good ending. If you haven't read these, they're definitely worth doing. They're fractured fairy tales. They are dark romance. They are a series, however, they're all standalones, so you can absolutely read these in whatever order you want. There's no like characters that cross over. They're not even in the same like universe or even in the same time period. So you can absolutely read these in whatever order you want. I read them in order because I had them all, but if you don't, feel free to grab whichever ones you've got and get started on them. But yeah, really enjoyed that one. Let me just make some room over here. Then I moved on to The Austrian Bride by Helen Parusel, or Parusel, however you pronounce her surname. This was a Amazon hardback bargain book that I picked up. I think I paid less than £3 for it. Picked up a few bargain book bundles from Amazon, and I'm I, it feels like I'm collecting books. I know I've done a lot of vintage hauls and a lot of book hauls at the minute, so it looks like I'm collecting them. I'm absolutely not. I'm just trying to build up my library for me to be able to jump in and read them. Um, I love using an actual physical library, but what I found is my little library just doesn't have a lot of books in. I'm constantly having to order them in, which costs me every time. Um, and like, especially like popular books and things, I then have to wait, and it was becoming frustrating for me. So I do still use the library, but I've been picking up as many bargain books as I can, and that's what this was. I really enjoyed this. I do enjoy a historical fiction, and particularly anything that's around any of the world, like World War One or World War Two. This one was really, really good. It's based in Austria in 1938. It's written in the point of view of two people. We have the daughter, um, Ella. Yeah, the daughter Ella. And then we also follow her mum. I want to say Margaret. Marlene, that's it. So it's written in two points of view, and it's basically around um, the Nazis coming into Austria when they're first trying to come into power over there, and it follows the relationship between Ella and her Austrian boyfriend slash he becomes her fiance, who is a Nazi sympathizer, and her mum, who works in the resistance. And the pair of them are leading a life where they're both trying to go against the Nazis to protect their friends and family, but neither one knows that what the other one is up to. Um, it was really, really good. I'll tell you the blurb, though I don't think it does it justice, I must admit. Austria 1938. After years of hardship, Ella is full of hope for a better future for Austrians. And when Hitler marches into Linz, she can't help but become swept up in the euphoria of her boyfriend Max. But she soon realizes her mistake. When she witnesses a woman being shot in the street and a childhood friend's Jewish department store is closed down, she knows she must do something. It's a dangerous time to be a resistor, especially when her fascist boyfriend proposes to her. Ella knows she has a duty to her family, her friends, and her country. So while Europe teeters on the brink of World War II, a desperate race begins to save the people she loves. But betraying the Nazis could be her death sentence. When I went into this, I thought I was only reading it from Ella's perspective because that is what the blurb sounds like. But there is another perspective from Marlene, and seeing her go through the resistance and watching her daughter, and it was just really, really good. I gave this a 4-star because that's all Goodreads, like they only do full stars. I would say this was a 4.5. It was really good and I enjoyed it. So if you enjoy those types of books, I would recommend it. It was good. Then we jump into the next series. So the next series out of my jar was the Briar You series by Elle Kennedy. It's the first series that I've read from her. I do also have the... Oh my goodness, what's the other series called? Oh, that's going to throw me now. She's got another series and I've got that one as well. I can see it's got 5 stories and I believe it's actually a prequel series to this. Although I found that I could read this series even without having read the first one. There's the Briar You, and then there's the other one that's got like the deal. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, this series has the chase, the risk, the play, and the dare. I read them all back to back. So, this first one, the chase, this one follows the story of Fitz and Summer. I did enjoy this. I think my reading style is changing. If I'd have picked this up a year ago, I'd have probably absolutely loved this. But I'm very much moving on now more towards the mafia type romances, and the sports romances they're not quite hitting it for me. It was a good book. I did really enjoy it. I liked her writing style. It was very easy to get into the story. These just weren't my favourite, and I think it was purely the storyline as opposed to the book itself. This one is best friend, brother, sister moving together. They don't like each other. Then they fall for each other and they end up getting together. Like, it was really good. It was a cutesy little thing, but yeah, just not my favourite. Definitely smut in here, so I would only read it if you're okay with that. That not massive, but there's definitely some in there. But yeah, it was good. I think I gave it a 4 stars, and I stick with that. It was okay. Then there was The Risk. Again, ice hockey player. This one is the Braille coach's daughter falling for a hockey player from a competing university. It starts off as a fake relationship for both of them, and they end up falling for each other and getting together. Again, really good. 4 stars again. Good storyline. Just wasn't my favourite. Then we have the play. This one is between Hunter and Demi. Hunter is a hockey player that's just become captain, and he decides that he wants to spend the year celibate, is it? He decides he doesn't want any girlfriends. He's not going to play away or anything like that. He's going to spend a year concentrating on his school and his hockey. And then Demi enters his life. She's in one of his classes and they end up falling for each other. It was really good. Again, 4 stars. Like, I like the characters and things. It's just the story. And then we finish this off with The Dare. This one is between Connor Edwards and, oh my goodness, what's her name? Taylor. That's it. Connor and Taylor. She is dared to go up to him and take him to the bedroom. She does. They go up to the bedroom. They sit. They chat. They get to know each other. They end up falling for each other. Again, really nice, cutesy little romance. I'm just probably not into that at the minute, but it was good. You know, a good 3.5, 4 stars again for that. So glad I read them. More than happy to read the other series because I did enjoy her writing style. I just think I'm coming away from that sort of sporting romance, I think. And then we head into our final few books. So I read Agatha Raisin and The Quiche of Death by MC Beaton. Now, I've been looking forward to reading these for the whole of March, to the point where I've been collecting these since, like, I'd say the end of February, maybe I started collecting them actually. I really wanted to love this, and I didn't. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it either. I'm not sure what it was about this book. I was so excited. Oh, you know when you are just so excited to read a book and then it doesn't hit. It was one of those. And I still don't know what it is about this, or even the others, that just didn't hit for me. I am going to continue reading them. They're not DNF books. They're far from DNF books. They are good. I couldn't get into the writing style for a long time. I think I reread the first couple of chapters 3 or 4 times before it kind of sunk in what was going on. And it's not a hard book to read. I couldn't get on with the writing style. I think the chapters are too long for me. I have no problem in longer chapters. And sometimes I do want long chapters. And I think that was the problem I had. Thinking back, I think I had a similar problem with these Elle Kennedy books. So for these are written in 2 points of view. You have the male main character and you have the female main character, and they both have points of view through this book. What I found with all of the Elle Kennedy books that frustrated me is if I've got a book in 2 points of view, I want short, sharp chapters where if something happens with the two of them, I get both characters' points of view almost straight after each other. And then you continue a little bit on the story and then you go to the next one. What I found with these was you would read the point of view of one interaction with one of the characters. Then you would continue down a few days and then you'd suddenly jump to the next character and you'd get the point of view of the incident that happened a few days before, and it'd be like, oh, a few days ago we did this, and it was like, yeah, but I don't want your afterthoughts. I want to know what they're feeling at the time. And maybe that is another reason why these just didn't quite hit for me when I thought they might, was the chapters were just too long and there was too much back and forth between different incidents, like different things that would happen, and it frustrated me a little bit. And I did get into that, but it's not my favorite way of writing. These again are really big chapters, like it's not done in a point of view necessarily. Every so often you'll kind of get a paragraph that is another character's thoughts, but generally it's not that way written. I mean, this book is, let's have a look, check, because I think this one's got from the other story. So this has got 285 pages and only has 13 chapters. So they're really big, long chapters. There was a few occasions where I felt like it should have been a new chapter instead of just a new paragraph, because it was like a new day, a new big piece of the story. So I did struggle a little bit with that. They're good. Like eventually I got into it and it was okay. Just not my favourite, and I was a bit disappointed because I really wanted to love those. I think I only gave it a 3 stars, and I do stick with that. Not my favourite at all. Because I'd struggled with that, and I was conscious that sometimes if I struggle with a book and I persevere with it, which I do tend to do, and I'm always happy to do that. I have DNF'd books before, but I try not to. I didn't want to continue with that just yet and put myself into a reading slump. I was probably only around 3 weeks into March at that point, so I wanted to move on to something different. So I went to my piles of books from all of my Vinted hauls that I've been picking up / I've had bought for me for my birthday, and I picked out Summer in Provence by Lucy Coleman. Brand new author to me, which is one of the reasons why I'm picking up so many Vinted hauls, is to get brand new authors to try. I picked it up thinking it's not a very thick book, it won't take me long to read, and then I opened it up and it's got fairly small writing. So it still took a little bit to get through. However, I loved it. This was such a good book. I felt all the emotions. I felt happy. I felt sad. I cried. It was a really, really good book to read. I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for more Lucy Coleman books. I've really enjoyed her writing style. This story was Fern and Aidan. They've been together for years. They were like school sweethearts. They got married. They've been married now for, I think it was 7 years. She has noticed that Aidan over the last 6 months has started to pull away slightly, but he's not really talking to her, and she's just hoping that it's a phase and they'll work their way out of it. They end up winning a small amount on, well, not a small amount, but they end up winning the lottery. They didn't win the big bit, but they won like the millionaires bit where they win £1,000,000. And like pretty much straight after they figured that, like finding out that they've won this money, Aidan sits Fern down and says that he's not happy, he's really struggling, he still loves her, but there's just something missing in his life, and he wants to take a year out from the relationship to go and travel. She doesn't want to travel. That's absolutely fine. That's her choice. She's absolutely heartbroken. She doesn't want to do this. However, she loves Aidan enough that if this is what he needs to be happy, she will do that. So they take a year sabbatical out. He goes off traveling the world. He goes to Australia, Thailand, Mexico, all over the place. she decides to also take a year out, and she travels to France and goes to the Provence and spends a year volunteering at a retreat type place, somewhere where people can go for 5 days and they can learn something new. There's lots of different crafting areas, like general crafting. They can go and do gardening, they can go and do pottery, there's woodwork, there's all sorts there. And for the year volunteering, they get free board, they pay a little bit towards the food, and then they keep this place running for the year. While Aiden's away, she can feel that he's becoming more and more withdrawn. Phone calls and things don't last very long, if they even happen at all. She turns her hand to art and finds that she actually really enjoys that and is really good at it, and gets picked up to become an artist. And you just follow mainly her life over the year until she comes back. And then you find out at the end whether they survived it or not. One thing I absolutely adored about this book, and I don't know if this is a standard Lucy Coleman thing or if it was just this one, but I'm one of those people where I get to the end of the book, and even if it's got a prologue in there, I still get there and I think, I wish I knew what happened next. Like, they give you the prologue and it tells you what happens over the next year, but I want to know what happens after that. Lucy fixed that problem. At the very end of the story, there is an option to continue, and each of the main characters has a follow-on to tell you what happened after the end of the story. And it was so good. I really enjoyed that piece. I felt like when I stepped away from this book, when I'd finished it, I knew what had happened to the characters and I felt content. I felt very happy. This was easily a 4.5/5-star read for me. Loved it. I'm on the lookout for more Lucy Coleman books, so watch this space. You may see more from her. Then I still didn't feel like I could jump back into MC Beaton, so I went back to my stack of books and I picked up A Recipe for Love by Katie Fforde. Now, this is a paperback, but it's a very big paperback. It's also got biggish writing, so I don't think this would be classed as large print. I'm not sure, but this was the book that I picked up. Now, I'm very familiar with Katie Fforde as an author. However, I don't know if I've ever read any of her books, so this one is possibly a first for me. And I enjoyed it. It was good. There were some bits I felt like it was a little bit rushed. That's my only problem. I really enjoyed it. So this is about Zoe Harper, and she has managed to get a place in a televised cookery competition. The cookery competition felt like a cross between Great British Bake Off and MasterChef. There were some bits that were like out in a big tent, and then there was other bits that was in like professional kitchens and things. So it felt like a very good crossover between those two. She ends up falling for one of the judges, and it is good. I did enjoy it, but there was just some bits, like at the very beginning, I had to reread one section because she just arrived at this, like, where they were filming it, this really big fancy house where they were filming, and she just turned up, answered the door, and suddenly she was best friends with the person who owned it. And I couldn't understand, like, how do you become a best friend to somebody who's just owned it, like when you've literally just met, to the point where she was cooking them dinners, she was there on hand, and I was just like, have I missed something here? And there was a couple of other chapters where it just felt a little bit rushed, but it was good. I did enjoy it. I did read it really quickly. I enjoyed the storyline. I enjoyed the characters. I just felt like I was missing a bit of detail. It needed a bit more character building. It needed a bit more, like, how does she become best friends with this person that just answered the door? And even the relationship between Zoe and Gideon, the the judge, it was like 1 minute she didn't like him because he was really cocky, and the next thing they were snogging. It was like, what has changed? Hold on, rewind, let's go back. Can we just learn more about the characters? So I don't know if that is a standard Katie Fforde writing style. As I say, I think this is the first one I've read. I've got quite a few more of hers, so I will read them. Like, it was absolutely fine. I just wanted a little bit more building. I think I gave this one, I think it's like a 3.5 for me. It was good. I enjoyed it. I just needed more character building. I needed more of the story. I didn't want to rush it. I would sooner read like this one was 340 pages. I'd sooner read a 500-page book, but get to know the characters properly and understand how they become best friends, how they change from, oh, he's pretty cute, but actually I don't like his attitude, he's far too cocky, to suddenly kissing each other. I need to know how that changes. So, yeah, we'll see what other Katie Ffords do. Let me know what you think. But yeah, it was still a good book. I did enjoy it. I did read it pretty quickly as well. Then I thought, do you know what? I've had enough of my palette cleansers, which is what they were, and I went back to Agatha Raisin and we went for The Vicious Vet. This is the second book in the series. Again, I felt the same as I did the first one. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was still good. I did read this one quicker. I did find that it was easy to get into. I found that I had more points where I felt engrossed in this than I did the first one. So yeah, I did enjoy it. Again, we still had, I mean, this one is 238 pages and we've got just 10 chapters. So on average, each chapter is like nearly 24 pages long, which is just a bit too long for me. Especially because I'm somebody who'll be like, oh, I'll read to the end of this chapter and then I'll finish. And I found that if I'd not long started this chapter, it was just too long to keep going. So yes, it was good. I think I gave it 3 stars, and I think I stick with that, to be honest. But I didn't feel as much like I might go into a reading slump following that one. So I did follow that up with The Potter Gardener. And again, it was good, just not my favourite. I didn't love it. Again, I did find that there was more places where I found I was more engrossed. What I did find with this one was that there was a lot more there was a lot more of the story that was almost like the backstory to her dying. I feel like, if I remember rightly, she didn't die till about halfway through the book. If that, she might even have been a bit further than that, to be honest. And again, it was a really short book with not many chapters. So yeah, it was good, but it just was not my favourite. I think I gave that 3 stars, and I think I stick with that as well. And then the final book that I read was Someone to Love by Tracey Corbett. It was a last minute read on the last day of the month. I wasn't sure if I would get it done or not, but I did. I read it all in one day. Really enjoyed this one. Again, a new author to me, but again, an author I'm going to look out for. I thought it was really, really good. I think I gave this one a 4, and I stick by that, a 4 to 4.5 book. I really enjoyed the characters. I really enjoyed the progression and the backstory on this. Really easy to read. And yeah, definitely helped me to stop me from getting into a reading slump after the 2 Agatha Raisins. So I would recommend that one. This one is about Beth and Matt, and they have to plan a wedding, and the bride and groom are not there. But I really enjoyed that. So I ended the month with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 books. That's amazing. It's the most books I've ever read. At the end of March, I finished March on 30 books total for the year so far. So we're averaging around 10 a month. But April is going to be a lot slower for me because I just know I won't have as much time to read. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope you've enjoyed it. If there's any of those books you want to know more about, please do let me know in those comments down below. Other than that, have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful rest of your week, and happy reading your books.